Hi, it's Rosie at RoseByNameCo, now also Paper Rose. Paper Rose has become just a very, very tiny, small division of RoseByNameCo. This is where I will be making some journals and maybe tags or some other items under Paper Rose because I am with a partner on these with Joanne. And Joanne is a wonderful artist in Toronto. So for this one, for the first item under Paper Rose, I have this journal. It's called Historic. It is quite different than maybe normally I would do. The cover is completely fabric, and I did borrow stitching on this one, which is type of a Japanese stitching back in the time maybe when they didn't have sewing machines, or it was a style that they used, and it has come back in a way, and you might see some things that are with borrow stitching nowadays, maybe some jeans or some items of that sort. Now, this journal, it's quite a thick one and a little bit bigger. Well, it does show about 5.5 inches in width and about 7.5 in length, and the spine has two signatures in it, and it's about 2 inches across, but it is round because there's no cardboard in this one. I just did the stitching on it, and I left the cover just the way it is. And so I put together many different little pieces of scraps of fabric that I had left over, and I did try to coordinate it a little bit to go with the colors here and to make a little bit of sense, but not too much. Basically just put them together, and I sewed with a beige stitching floss, what you call embroidery floss, and then I also used red thin wool to go around each item as well. There is a tassel. The tassel is quite rich in this one. It does have quite a bit of different fibers on here, and the colors mostly still to go with the colors here. And then it has some beads inside here, the wooden beads, and it has a little bit of this one as well. Now for the closure, I wasn't going to put a closure, but it is quite a chunky, so I thought I will just include it, and if you want to use it, fine. If not, that's okay too, because it does sort of sit okay on its own as well. Now, so let me show you inside here just what the fabric looks like, a little bit more of it. Okay, and I'm going to show you the whole thing this way as well, just because it is so beautiful that I should show it this way. And I did put some antique lace, which I did also coffee dye a little bit. And over here is a piece as well. And inside here is a little packet I will show you in a moment. So it does have a little bit of the sparkly in the middle here, and a variety of colors all around. And this is a little bit of the inside. So over here in the very front there's a pocket, and I put a little bit of a, I don't know, maybe you call it a little mystery item with a little bit of beads in here as well. And it is in a coffee stain cotton, and inside is a very old piece of paper, ancient really, and I didn't do any coffee staining to this. This is just the way it is in the book, and I think the book tells me in like Roman or I'm sorry, the Latin numerals, it shows like maybe even 1700s or even earlier, and this was already out of the book, so I thought I would use this. So it's very delicate, and you can write on the back if you want, but you can also see in the olden days, you can see a little bit of the type in the back as well. You can feel it. It has texture to it. So this is just a little secret piece of history in here. I just kind of thought it's like a cute little mystery stash over here. So now going inside. So with my collaboration with Joanne, she did the tags on this one, and I did some other items. I did maybe 1 or 2 tags, but she did a few tags just for this project. So I'm going to start over here on this side, and inside there's also maybe upholstery fabric or something with a little bit of flowers, and also very textured. I did try to find some images. Most everything is from authentic from a book. And here's a little envelope with a couple of little things like a journal tag. Over here, a little cluster you can put somewhere, and maybe like a little index or some kind of card. Just some little things that I like to make. And over here then is Joanne's tag, and she did a beautiful, beautiful job on this. Stitching all around and putting her colors together that actually go with the journal. So she did have the cover, and did a fabulous job to go with this cover here, to go with this page as well. And then over here we have a cluster which is also very, very reminiscent of the colors in here, and just plays off each other very beautifully on this page. So that's the first page. And on the inside we also have a little bit of beads. And here's also a page from an ancient book, naturally stained, not by me. It says Japan, since this is about Japanese boro style stitching. And a little bit of stamping here. But it's, you know, the journal is not all about Japan. There's different things in there that are historic. But there is a little bit of Japanese art here in this beautiful coral color. A bit more of Japanese painting. A very old postage stamp imprint that says 4 cents. And just a little sort of scrap paper here, and a cluster as well. And this is from an old book as well. I took the inside page, the first page, and it's in this beautiful hue here. I get to give you some lines here. And over here is a old button. It kind of goes with this page, and it has this attached to it as well. So I have a lot of texture, a lot of threads, and so on. And this one also has a goldish tint on it. I'm not sure if you can see, but it turned out beautifully as far as when I was staining this. Now this is from a very old newspaper, and it is authentic, like I said. And some ads here that you can look at and maybe use in your collaging or something. I like this one here. And then on this side, also something about Japan and their postage stamps. Also from a postage stamp book. And a tiny bit of paper here and a cluster on top. And over here, just some of my art, a little bit scribbles, and you can still write on the back of that. This is another old book I have. Now these I found in Croatia by the coast there. They might be Italian, and very, very ancient anyhow. And over here, a little bit of beads. And I'm not sure what these rocks are. This is from a book, and but I like the way they're marked and the colors of that. So they look kind of historic to me. And over here, a little bit of a fabric sample. I love this. I think maybe French country or cottage. Now here is a pocket. It's a see-through pocket, but I did a play on with my sewing machine with different stitches and lines. And here's some historical buildings in Massachusetts. An actual old postcard. I love the writing. And a little bit to write on. Stained with cabbage. And then a little bit of lace here for you to use maybe somewhere in the book. You can snip little bits of it. And a little bit of gold initials. I know NH, I think. So I don't know. There's somebody NH. And more beads here, and some ribbon, some stamping, and this beautiful, beautiful trim with sparkles on it that I love. And then underneath I found, it is a Christmas stamp, but just the colors, it looks like an angel, maybe a US stamp, that is this perfect red, just like on here. And then this paper is something I scrunched up and I inked it with gold all over. And then in the back, it also comes with this and a little bit of notebooks, pages on a notebook, and a little bit more of the border stitching. Lake Como in Italy, of course, very historic. And over here in the middle, a little bow and then an envelope. Inside the envelope, just a little bit of a generally tag and a card, or vice versa in this case. And we have a little booklet. This is from a book. I like the picture is like this, and then inside I put those coffee or tea filters, and I put a little bit of a very old number playing card and coffee stained paper book, and a little bit more paper for writing here. A little bit of a stamp out. Punch. That's a little folder, and a little bit of yellow and gold here, and a bead, bauble, a bit from very old book of notes that I have from that book page. And over here is a little bit more texture, and this one has little white beads all over, and also some paper, extra paper. And this beautiful tag is by Joanne, and it has texture on top. I will unwrap it, and here we go. It's a little flip up here with a heart and some antique lace. Very beautiful. Very beautiful, going very well with all the colors that I have on these pages. And here's a little red bauble. A bit more of this fabric sample. All pages here. Even I like the tape that I used on this. And there is some looking stamps. They're not, not too vintage, but I like the colors of them to go with the historic. And then here's another cluster with the rocks. It's beautifully naturally aged paper. And over here we have something about, let me see, I think it's about Egypt. Yes, Egypt on here. A little bit of their writing and so on. And it's a double pocket, and this is one of the journaling cards that I made. And it's got some of my clippings of photography in here. And another cluster here, and it's got a little bit different types of papers here, and the fabric on top. A bit more from the stamp album. This, I thought it was almost like a Japanese flag. I found this dot. It's just one of those fabric identification things. So here, this is historic, of course, to now, not from the 1400s, but the while you were out notes, phone notes that we used to use. So this one I found in a box of ephemera that I once bought at a thrift store with somebody's letters and so on. And this lady, she's not the lady it says here, but just a photo that I have, and I thought she looked pretty vintage. A bit more of that paper from the book. And here a little bit of lines in a pocket, and some samples of my photography. little bit more from Japan art. And here I put lines, and then I sewn over lines as well. And this is the other side of that beautiful image. And this is the end of the first signature, and this cluster here. And here I have a negative, one of those negatives that I have. A little bit of coffee stained paper to write on. And an actual envelope. Look at this beautiful writing. Very, very vintage. It looks like maybe did they write upside down? I'm not sure. It should have been this way maybe. But it's very delicate, and I love the writing and the stamps, so it's pretty historic to me when we do find these very old letters. And then in the back is another one of Joanne's creations, and this one flips over this way and gives you some beautiful images underneath. I love the way she puts the colors together, and then uses the laces and fabric, you know, for a little bit of texture, and so perfect for this historic journal. Now for the second signature, here on the signature cover, I did some spraying with inks, so I got purple on here, this ledger page, and a little bit of these are the different clusters I like to make with different fabrics and some lace and a little bit of bling on it as well. This is a journaling card that I made, and it is a pocket. It's like a floating pocket, so you can put something inside here as well, and that goes in this pocket. And I love the way the colors here actually flow over onto this page, and of course the creation of Adam, as we all know. A very historic image on this one. And what I did is I did some border stitching around here. Not really bore, I guess, because I didn't go right across, but I did some stitching around to make a frame on this for texture. And then here I used one of those Tim Holtz frames. I had it for a while. I haven't used them on anything yet, so I thought, okay, it's maybe time I start using it. So here I put a map of Ireland, and it is an old one from a book, and somebody's written some notes on there. You can, you know, write over that with a marker or something, or just leave it. And it just feels super smooth and nice and vintage. And goes perfectly in here. And with some clustering over here. And then on the back of that is a tiny pocket with another cluster and another vintage photo. Look at her dress. Looks like maybe somebody took this out of a photo album. I'm not sure if that's a flower, but she sure is vintage with her hair and her dress. And then on this side, People's Book of History. So the old pages that I have, some of them are about history, so certainly should be in this historic junk journal. And a little bit more of the coffee stained and more fabric samples. On this one I used one of my primitive tags, and I tried to find something and make it a little bit more, you know, like maybe it was made back in the times, you know, they didn't have a lot of supplies. So now this one, I don't know if it's historic or not, but Rapunzel, to me, of course, it's very well known, and it's an old folk story tale, so certainly I thought, since I had it, that the colors too just belonged in here. And look at this guy, of course, falling. Here on this coffee stain paper, I did stitching, and then right behind it peeks this beautiful Japanese lady, and a little bit of red and gold here as well. This is on printed on cloth, but maybe on like a sticker. This is something I found somewhere at a thrift shop, and I was really happy to have it. And I thought, now perfect for this journal on the gold here, and with the reds. And I thought the actual dress here that she's wearing is maybe flowery like this. So I included this piece, like possibly from her dress. It's probably silk and this is cotton, but let's just pretend that's her dress sample. And then a little bit more paper here. Bohemia, very historic, of course. A little bit more of that shiny paper. More stamping and ribbon over here, more stamping here, a fabric sample, more from different images from stamps. And on this see-through pocket, I used yellow here that I stained, and also did a whole bunch of sort of abstract sewing, is there such a thing? And inside here as well, a little bit more paper to write on, and some lace, and vintage postcard. This one is a British exhibition. Sure, very historic too, these gates here. So I try to find things that are interesting and that may be of some history value and so on. Now over here is also paper that I dyed in the turmeric, in both of these. And inside this one, here I have a sample of vintage, I did coffee stain this one, I'll say. Vintage, I don't know, maybe from a wedding dress or some sort of, what would you call it? What's that word for that? For these that you add on? Let's just call it lace. So here's some lace that I did coffee stain to make it look more vintage, but it fixed perfectly in here, in an envelope that I found that I had just for backing for this to keep it on. And over here, a little bit of a bow here, pink bow, and one of Joanne's beautiful tags that go with the pinks, and the rest of this journal. I like the little flip ups she does. And then here is lace as well that you can also flip. Look at this typewriter. I love it. And that's one of Joanne's. So complementing this journal very well. And a little bit more of yellow. And over here some vintage postage stamps. And I have this reception, 6 o'clock it says. So you can write on this for sure. But it is an actual wedding invitation, I believe. It came with that. And a little bit more postage stamp book, page, fabric, ribbon. And I did include another one of these cards. I love these cards. When I ran into those, I'm like, oh yes, finally. I don't know how other people get them really. Oh, it was only one time that I've seen them. Then some images. The royal mausoleum. And a little bit more image here, and a vintage stamp that I put on a tea bag, and fabric, and another piece there to write on. And here I have another lady as well, and she looks more maybe like she's Roman, like Italian from Rome, you know, back in the days, a Roman goddess maybe. She's wearing the yellow dress. And here I included an envelope, and the envelope has a little, very ancient looking, tiny notebook with a couple of pages, and a little bit of lace here, and maybe you can write a note into it. I love using stuff like that, which is of course why I make them. So it goes underneath here, and it is paper clipped with this eyelash trim. And then this is like a wedding veil material that's sheer. And then I did border stitching here on this little snippet of fabric. And in the back, here's another one of Joanne's. This one I did glue down. It is a pocket. So I glued it down on this beautifully vintage looking paper. And the colors just bring it to life. And this is the little tag that goes into it, also different colors and stitching and so on. And this is from the Rapunzel book. And over here also, look at this, over here we have a tag that is, I think, reminiscent of Rapunzel's hair right there. And it is a little, beautiful little mushroom tag. And I did sort of make a pocket in here. When I flipped over the page, I was going to make a pocket this way, and I thought, well, why don't I make it like this? And then there's a pocket here as well of more of my art. And collaged here, collaged more fabric, ancient paper, more borrow stitching, and one pocket here that of a collage tag that you can put in something. And then I did also some stitching around this frame as well of this beautiful painting, and you can see it over here. And then here I have a vintage photo. Look at this one. I love this one with a huge I don't know, I guess a duck. I don't know if it's a real duck, or because there's little duckies, I think they're just little blow-up ducks, or you know, little plastic ones, and this one maybe too, I'm not sure. But a vintage garden, and then some stamping. I got stamping all over. I didn't even, you know, mention every time. A little bit for writing. Let's put them like this. And a little bit of another vintage button, and bobble here, and more lace and fabric collaging here. And at the very back we got paper rose, so I did put this on here so that you remember where you got this from, or where it came from. And this beautiful tag that again goes with the colors here as well, and a little bit texture, and one of her little flip-ups here. I love the flip-ups. And it says love to everyone. We wish everyone to have you know, safe life, and everything hopefully starting to get back to normal. So this is historic from Paper Rose, in care of RoseByNameCo. And so it sits like this just as well. You don't really need to. Here's a little peek this way, and this way as well, and all the different little threads, if I can get them out. Let me see. Okay, so here's the top as well, with all the threads that I left here. I left them long, so if you want to trim them, by all means trim them, but I like them just the way they fall in the back here as well. So you have you know, texture everywhere, and you do get this little sash here as a closure in case you wanted. So thank you for coming by and checking out what's new at RoseByNameCo. It is new tiny division paper rose with Joanne and myself, and hopefully we'll have another one to come soon. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye. It's Rosie at RoseByNameCo. Bye-bye.